What's going on, guys? On today's video I'm going to be installing eXtremeRate's Whole Clicky Kit on the PS4 controller. I'm also going to be installing interchangeable thumbsticks and split D-pad. This is my friend's controller. He had been wanting the face clicky for a while, so once I told him that they finally released it, he jumped right into it. He has a little Naruto imposter sticker on his grip. If anyone is interested, I'm buying from the Gaming Cobra website. If you use my code Im.A.Caveman, you can get a 10% discount on these or other products on their website. For the PS5 controller, they had released the face clicky kit and hair triggers. The difference with the whole clicky kit is that they combine the face clicky and hair triggers into one, but it's only for the PS4 controller. I'm going to open everything up and then I can start the disassembly process. Before I continue with the rest of the video, I thought I should show this part at the beginning just in case anyone ends up having a problem like I did. I installed the kit on a JDM055 and the JDM is shown on the motherboard. There's plastic pieces that you're supposed to install under your triggers. Those little pieces are supposed to stay in, but for some reason they would just come off on its own. After I had installed them and closed up the controller, I tested it out by playing Plants vs Zombies. The moment I loaded into the game, my character was just shooting on its own. I couldn't even aim my gun. I was able to use my abilities, but the gun itself, or the character itself, just kept on shooting non-stop. That's because I guess it's just a tight fit in here that it's automatically pressing on the trigger. I already contacted eXtremeRate. They're gonna try and help me out, maybe find a solution, or they're gonna send a replacement for me to try out. Feel free to watch my tutorial, and hopefully this issue doesn't happen to anybody else who ends up getting the whole clicky kit. Every one of the products is going to include a warranty card, some tools, and these are the interchangeable thumbsticks. This one is going to bring screws along with the tools. And here's the split D-pad, which I'm going to take out the buttons later by using some wire cutters. These are the pads you're going to need to put under your buttons if you're going to be using the face clicky kit. These are plastic parts that are going to be installed under your triggers. And this is the whole clicky kit. You can test it out by pressing on the switches. You're gonna hear how it clicks like a mouse or a keyboard. Now we can start taking the controller apart. I'm going to take out the 4 screws on the back. Next, I'm gonna grab onto the grips and then push them away from each other, and it should create an opening on the other side as well. Then I'm gonna grab a prying tool. I'm going to dig in through the whole side and just push inward to get this opening. After that's done, you can just lift up the back shell, but do it carefully because there's a cable connected on the back. I'm going to disconnect this cable. You just have to pull it out, but I recommend wiggling it left to right while pushing out. To disconnect your battery, it's going to have double-sided tape underneath it, so it might be a little tough to take it out, but you just have to slowly pull up so that you don't apply too much strength. There's the double-sided tape. I'm going to keep the battery aside for now. There's a screw right here to take out. Now I can take out the battery holder by pulling up. To disconnect the battery, I'm going to pull out while also wiggling it left to right. Unlike the PS5 controller, all I have to do is disconnect this touchpad cable. There's 2 locks holding the motherboard down. It's on the left and the right side. All you have to do is push them outward. Lift your motherboard up a little bit. Once they're both pushed out, you can lift your motherboard out. The whole clicky kit is only compatible with JDM040, 050, and 055. As you can see here on the motherboard, it shows JDM055. If this piece ends up coming off, this is how it's supposed to be placed. Before I remove the black casing, I'm going to straighten out the touchpad cable. Now I'm going to lift up on these 2 ends. You can see how it comes out of that slot. Then I'm going to pull the casing up. And if the cable was straightened out pretty good, then it's not going to get in the way of the casing when it's coming off. I'm going to remove the pads for D-pad and action buttons. I'm going to replace the D-pad with split D-pad, so I'm going to take that out as well. And also the action buttons, just so that it makes it easier for me to put the pads inside of it. I'm going to get these buttons out by using a wire cutter. When you're doing this, make sure to cut it right at the edge of the button. Just like this. Since I'm going to be installing the Whole Clicky Kit, there's two pads you need to place under your buttons. The circular one is going to go under your action buttons, and the rectangular one is going to go on your D-pad. I can put all buttons back in place and then move the front shell to the side. Now I'm going to remove my L1 and R1. I'm going to grab onto these two ends right here and then just pull it out. To remove L2 and R2, this part needs to come out of there, so I'm going to push it to the opposite side. Now I'm going to do the other side. And then you just got to make sure that it doesn't get stuck right there. To do that, you can always push it down and then pull it out. I can slide the pads out. Now I need to replace this film with the Whole Clicky. I'm going to turn the casing around. I need to get this part out. On both ends, I'm going to use my tweezer to pull up. And now I'm going to carefully remove the film, just in case I need it later on. You need to take this out from the gap. You can just carefully pull it out. And then this side will be able to come off. To put in the new film, I'm going to start by inserting the left switches inside its slot. You can see there's a gap right here. I'm just going to slide it in there. Once that's done, I'm going to get this gold and brown part through this gap right here. Once it's through, you can place it down. And that's what it should look like. I'm going to slide the right switches inside its slot. And now you're just going to secure the film. There's a piece that I need to place under my L1 and R1 triggers. This is what it looks like. It's going to be placed like this, but it's going to go right on top of the circle right here. This piece is for the L2 and R2 triggers. Before you place that in, you need to cut this right here. And it should look something like this. After doing that, you can place that underneath your trigger. That's what it should look like once it's in place. eXtremeRate's video tells you to really push it down, but for some reason the parts where all the triggers seem to be pretty loose. I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem later on. Now I can put my L1 and R1 back. Problem is I have to do it in a way so that I don't flip it this way, because then you can see how this part comes off. I'm testing the two buttons out, and for some reason the R1 has a better clicky sound than the L1. I'll put it closer to the mic so you guys can hear it. I'm going to be clicking R1 first. And now I'm going to click L1. I definitely don't like that one has a different sound from the other one. Now I'm going to move on to putting my L2 and R2 back in. Now I'm testing my L2 and R2 triggers. L2 seems to be alright. The only thing is that it's not doing a clicky sound, and then R2 feels a little off compared to L2. I'm gonna have to test out the whole controller in game with the Clicky Kit to see how it's working. I'm going to swap the thumbsticks for the interchangeable thumbsticks. The thumbsticks have 3 different sizes. This is the smallest one, and the smallest ones has grip on it. The circular ones are nice and soft on the top, and these are a medium size. And these 2 are the tallest ones. One is going to be round on the top, and the other one has the grip. When I have all of that done, I can lock the motherboard back in, and then put the casing back on the front shell. Make sure that the touchpad cable goes inside this gap. You have to align these holes right here, place it right on top, and push down on it. I can reconnect the touchpad cable, put the battery holder back in place, put back the 1 screw, reconnect the battery, put the back shell back in. I need to reconnect this cable. And now I can close the control. This part has to slide in this gap right here. After that, you just press on the whole controller. And the last thing is putting the 4 screws back in place. I'm going to place the thumbsticks with the grip, and these are the smallest ones. The grips on these are pretty comfortable and they're soft. You could even switch this one out and put the taller one instead. Alright, now that I got everything installed, I can quickly explain the benefits of having this kit installed. Number 1, it'll make all your face buttons sound really clicky, like a mouse or a keyboard. That also goes for the L1 and R1 buttons. I'd like to say the same thing for the L2 and R2, but they just don't really make any clicky sound at all. Another benefit is that you'll be able to aim your gun quicker and shoot quicker, since you don't have to press down all the way. L1 and R1 will do the same thing. Now the bad thing about having this installed is that for people who don't like clicky sounds, that's what you're gonna have. But if you just want this so that you can press your trigger sooner, they sell that one separately. For the PS5 controller, they have the face clicky kit separately. This is separate and this is separate for PS5 controller. For PS4, they only have this, which is the hair trigger separately. But to be able to have the face clicky, I believe that it's combined with the triggers. One thing that didn't go so well with installing the kit is I had to loosen up these 2 top screws so that my up D-pad and triangle wouldn't feel like it's getting stuck or registering at all. Because I loosened it, I can actually press it down fully. I need to test this out in a game to see how that works out. That's it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for the support. I'll be back with another one.